Hi, well, welcome everyone to our Future Leader training session, Future Leader Max Results training. This is part 1 of 4 that we are starting tonight, and people are still hopping on. We are recording this, and so in just a moment I will probably be muting all of you, but we have leaders and directors who will be monitoring the chat going on. So if you need something, for the most part, they can probably answer your question. Most of them have already been through this program once before and can answer them for you. Before we get started, let me say hello and introduce myself. So many of you I have not met yet, and this is such a treat to see some new faces and some familiar faces as people hop on. My name is Betsey Bishop, and I live in Warrenton, Virginia. I'm married, and I have 2 college-age students. Both are at the University of Virginia, and I started with Touchstone crystal during what I affectionately refer to as the pre-launch phase of the company. The company officially opened in January of 2011, and I came on board in January 1st of 2009. It was right when Touchstone Crystal, which is owned by Swarovski, in case you haven't determined that yet, switched over from a do-it-yourself beading company to a product where the jewelry was already put together. So the good news was that when my first catalog that I was selling out of in January of 2009, the jewelry was already put together. So that was the good news. The bad news is that it was the jewelry kits that had been sold the previous fall as beads. So somebody at the home office whenever we would place an order for jewelry that January, somebody in the home office would quickly put all the jewelry together and ship it out in little bags, and we didn't really have pretty boxes. We've really come a long way. So why did I come into Touchstone Crystal? Well, I mean, it didn't make a lot of sense at the time, but I just knew that Swarovski would get it right. I felt so strongly that with a name like Swarovski, with the fact that Swarovski is privately held, that it couldn't get sold to the highest bidder, or if the board didn't like having a direct sales arm within its conglomerate. And I felt like the brand name, even though 7 years ago it really wasn't all that well known in the United States, that it was a well enough known entity and that there was a lot of room for growth. In other words, I figured that they were going to get it right. I figured it was probably the trifecta. They had plenty of money. They had a brand name that was reputable. Little did I know that a couple years later, several cultural things would happen all at once to make the name Swarovski far more popular. So they opened up more boutiques in the malls. There were a couple of movies that came out that focused heavily, that Swarovski invested in heavily with product. Sex and the City was a big movie for us. And it's funny, I mean, within 6 months after that movie came out, I never saw it, honestly, but something about that movie shifted the percentage of women who knew about Swarovski from like 30 to 70, and it's just been going up since then. So pretty much now everyone that I talk to now knows Swarovski. 7 years ago, that wasn't the case at all. So the neat thing is that what I saw all those years ago, what I saw in my mind all those years ago is what I see today. And we are such a viable company. The beauty of it is that we really have everything in place, but you're still getting it on the ground floor. And so even if today is your first day, you have just as much of a shot and an opportunity to go all the way to the top of our compensation plan as anybody did in the very beginning, very quote beginning. This is still the beginning. Every company in direct selling that, especially in party plan, that goes to the top has a certain trajectory, and it's kind of like this, and it's slow, and then all of a sudden it's like this. Well, we're right at that cusp where we're about to hit that exponential growth. We've seen double growth, 100% growth the last 2 years, each of the last 2 years, which is remarkable, but we're about to go a lot faster than that. And what does that mean for you? It means that if you're willing to put in a little extra energy and be strategic and learn the kinds of things that we're going to be talking about in this 4-week training program, then you have the opportunity to grow an enormous business if that's what you really want. And if you don't, you can grow a small to medium business. And that's the beauty of it. You can make it want it to be. So tonight, I know that we have two groups of people listening. We have people who are part of the 4-week program for every Monday night of the month of March. And this is part 1. And we also have some people who will be taking part in a local Virginia training on March 16th, for whom this first portion is a quote requirement, because this material won't be covered that night, but yet it's really pivotal information. Okay, so enough of my yakking. Let me dive in. What I'm going to do is share the screen with my actual screen. So let me do that, because what I'm going to be doing is simply using a slide presentation. I didn't create any of this. This came from the home office in conjunction with Sherry Beth McAllister, who is a nationally known trainer. She coaches some of the top names in direct selling today and has for many years. She and our home office created this training, and I think it is incredibly valuable. So I just wanted you to know where this is coming from. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you, and you should still be able to hear my voice. And I'm going to find desktop 1. And find our PowerPoint. Okay. Alrighty. Thanks for bearing with me. It was up, but you know, once you get it on Zoom, kind of like when you have it on an HDMI cable on a television or something, it changes the way the computer shows itself on the screen. So it just takes a moment to pull up what I need to pull up. So first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. And we have such a large group, and because we're not in person, ideally, I'd love to have everyone introduce themselves, but that's pretty much impossible in this setting. So I do apologize. If you have an opportunity sometime to do this program live and locally, you'll see that there are some extra segments in the beginning that are a ton of fun, that are far more interactive, but than what we can actually do. Okay. Alrighty, thanks for bearing with me. So some of what you're going to hear me doing is actually reading a script. And this is a good thing, because what I want you to understand is that moving into leadership, growing a business with this company, it's never cookie cutter, but there are so many tools that the company has given us that are very cut and dry, very simple to use. And this is one of them. I literally have an entire script sitting here in front of me to utilize. And so some of what you're going to hear me using is the actual script, because I want you to know that this is something that once you reach the director level, you'll be receiving this entire packet. It's a huge binder, and you'll be able to actually use this too for your local trainings and for things around the country that you do through video and video chat. So, all right, so what we're going to do is talk about the benefits of leadership, how you manage your personal business for faster results, how you master the basics of host coaching, bookings, and sponsoring, and then how you get to partner with your own leader to ensure that your new consultants are the most successful they can be. That's sort of a general overview of all 4 weeks. Today's session, we're talking about your personal business, the Strive for 5 plan, and goal setting. So let's see, how do I get to the next? Here we go. Here we go. So we did a little bit about me. We can't do anything about you. Sorry. All right. We talked about that. I just did that. So weekly training. This shows what the components of this program, and I think it's a great structure. We actually ran through this whole program back in December, right before Christmas, and we used the first part, the weekly training. We did not use the activity tracker or parts 3 and 4. So as I mentioned, there are 4 parts. But beyond that, beyond the actual learning on weeks 1 through 4, there's an activity tracker that we're going to be talking about at the very end. It's not like a way of us deciding if you're doing your work or anything like that. This is really for you to find a way that is simple to keep track of your income producing efforts, because it's the income producing stuff that we really care about. There are a million and one ways to spend our time in this business. and a lot of them are not income producing. So the activity tracker helps us to keep that in check. There's a weekly check-in with your leader that I strongly recommend that you do. She'll want to talk to you about your activity tracker. And again, not to check up on you, but to see, are there any misses? Where are you stuck? Where would you like to improve? Things like that. And then finally, both my organization and CJ's have a Future Leader Facebook group. Linda, let's see if Bonnie has one. If not, you can be a part of the one that the Star Thrower team is doing, Linda Rolfe, just so you know. Okay. All right, so let's talk about this. So why leadership? This is really neat. I want you to pull out participant worksheet number 1. What are some of the, I want you to be thinking. Think for a moment about yourself. What are some of the reasons that you're interested in growing your business? What would the benefits be to you? What would you get out of being a leader? Of bringing someone onto your team, 2 people, 3 people, or more? How would it help you? Those are important things to ponder. What is it that you want out of this kind of a program that goes beyond just being a consultant? At the heart of all the benefits is one that really is specific to you, and it's your why, and it's the reason that you started your business. And if your why is more money, stop and ask yourself, why is the money important? What is it going to do for me? What will it allow me to afford? Why do I need or want the extra income? And what goal or dream would it fulfill? How would my life change with the extra income? Visualize yourself reaching the goal and fulfilling your why. It's really important to make it clear for you and to be specific and to write it down. You want to make your why the heart of your business, and you want it to be the reason that you want to get up and work your business every day. So I want you to think about this for just 10 or 15 seconds and write your why in the top right of the participant worksheet number 1. Just spend a moment. What was your why? When I first said your why, what was it? Why the business? Why leadership? Okay. Now imagine yourself 6 months or a year from now, and you're a successful leader and you just sponsored maybe, I don't know, 3 future leaders on your team. Imagine how great it would feel to help them achieve their whys. And the great news is that as you grow your business and as a leader, it isn't just about you achieving your why. It's really about you helping others achieve their why. And this is the power and the heart of leadership. Zig Ziglar says you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And that is really my favorite quote. It's my favorite thing. It has my day with what I'm going to do with moving other people forward. So considering that most people start a business because they need or want the extra income, a lot of you join this program to make more money. I want to jump into how to give yourself a pay increase. Now, before I go any further, if you could mute yourself, mute your own audio, that would be fantastic. We'll have a few people with some shuffling noises around. Maybe you can do some chat back there, Lindsay and CJ. If you can figure out who they might be, that'd be fantastic. Okay, so you want to make a little bit of money? That's always fun. So let's take a look. I'd like you to pull out, well, let me ask you a couple of questions first. A little self-check. How many of you feel 100% confident that you know how to make more money with our career plan starting this month? How many of you feel confident that you know how? And I hope maybe some of you. It's okay if you don't. Perfectly fine. That's why you're here. That's why we're all here. How many of you feel really confident in explaining our career plan to other people? Probably not a lot. And how many of you know how to calculate your earnings? Probably not a lot. So that's great, because that's what we're going to talk about next. I'm going to take you step by step through the career plan so that not only can you understand the potential, but you can also explain it to someone else. Okay, so I want you to go and pull out rats. I don't have one. How can it be that I don't have participant worksheet number 2? I have all the others except for number 2. All right, that's okay. You'd think I would have it memorized by now. Okay, so you have a worksheet that looks kind of like this at the very top, correct? And because this is, let's see, here we go. So what I'm going to do is explain the four levels of the income plan first, and then we're going to go through a fill in the blank on participant worksheet number 2. So you can look at your worksheet number 2, but watch what I'm doing. So as a new consultant, we all start out with a base commission of 25%, right out of the gate, every single new consultant. Now, the cool thing is that you can get you can increase your income in 4 ways, and this is the first one. By selling over $1,800 in a month, you can get a 5% personal sales bonus for a total of 30% commission in that month. So that's the first way that you can increase your income. That's without even adding anybody to your team, so that's pretty sweet. The second way that you can increase your income is to add 1 person to your team. So that makes you a key consultant 1. So what you're doing here is bringing on 1 personally sponsored, active, qualified consultant. Personally sponsored, PS, is by you. They call these PSAQs. The PS is personally sponsored by you. Active means she sells $1 in sales within 3 months or every 3rd month. Qualified means that at some point in time, she sold $500 in a single month, at least once since the day that they joined. PSAQs must be consultants. Your leaders, as they promote out, do not count as PSAQs, just so you know. And this will become important down the road, and we'll explain this. So your income, when you have 1 person on your team, you're making either 25 or 30%, right? But now you've got a 3% personal sponsoring bonus on your 1 PSAQ. So that's pretty sweet. A little thank you from the company for helping this new friend start her business. Okay, the third way to increase your income is to add a 2nd person. So you're adding another PSAQ. So now you have 2 personally sponsored, active, qualified consultants. There's a $500 PSV minimum for you to get paid on them. And so now your income is, again, 25 or 30% commission. And you bumped up to 4% personal sponsoring bonus on their sales. So it doesn't matter. Maybe they sold $100,000 between the 2 of them. That'd be pretty sweet in a month. I've never seen that, but maybe that could be you. And you'll get 4% on everything that those 2 ladies sold, or gentlemen, you never know. Okay, next one. So the 4th way to increase your income is leadership income. This is where it gets really fun. So let's talk about this. This is called group leader, and that's what we talk about when we talk leadership. It's the core component of our whole leader program. Group leader has 3 PSAQs, remember, personally sponsored, active, qualified. She is selling $1,200 herself, so that's your personal sales goal in that particular month. You and your PSAQs and anybody else that they bring on board need to sell $3,500, and that's called your central group sales. Central group sales. And the 4th component, they don't show it as a 4th requirement, but I always look at it separately, is that $1,000 of that $3,500 needs to come from your team. In other words, you can't just sell $3,500 yourself and go, yay, I'm a group leader. I've got 3 PSAQs. They all sold something last month. They're still active. And I just sold all $3,500 myself. That's not a part of the plan. $1,000 has to come from the team. So let's look on the right-hand side. So now you've got income that's changing. So your income is now 35% is your leader commission, and there's a central group bonus on top of all of that. So wait a minute, what was your central group? That was you and them all combined. So you've got 35% now base commission, a 5% bonus on your own sales, because it's on everybody, for a total of 40% on your personal sales volume. That's a little bit different from 25%, isn't it? Look at the white box down below that. So you had a 4% personal sponsoring bonus on the first 2. You've got it on all 3. But remember, there's that central group bonus of 5% that's on everything and everybody. So you add that to 4%, and suddenly you're making 9% on the people that you brought into the business. All right, so this is worksheet number 2. Here's the cheat sheet. Here are all the answers right here up on my screen. I'm not supposed to show you this, but here's what I'm doing. So it's supposed to do it like in a click, but it doesn't work. It didn't work that way. So anyway, so what we've got is at the top, I think you can see my cursor, your sales commission. I want you to fill in these blanks for yourself, because I want you to be able to use this and just explain the comp plan to other people. So your base commission is 25%. If you sell $1,800 or more, you get a 5% personal sales bonus for a total of 30% commission. Key Consultant 1 is the second way to make money. One personally sponsored person with your own $500 personal sales volume minimum, and you make 25 to 30% plus a 3% personal sponsoring bonus on your person. When you have two people, two PSAQs, again, your PSV, personal sales volume, is 500. Again, you're going to make 25 or 30%, but now you got bumped up to 4% personal sponsoring bonus on both of those PSAQs. Now, remember, we go to group leader. This is the fourth and final way to get a pay increase. Actually, there are 1,000,001 ways to get pay increases, but this is the fourth basic one. You get your third PSAQ. You sell $1,200 minimum in that month. They and you combined sell $3,500, and suddenly you're earning 40% on your own sales and 9% on your PSAQ. So let's take a look at this. So what does a leader make? Let's do a little bit of math here. We're going to review the math on slide 13 here. And I think you have a page, participant worksheet number 4. I'm skipping over participant worksheet number 3. This is the review for the definitions that I just gave you. And so you want to keep this handy and get to know it. Just so you know too, if this feels a little bit like gobbledygook and a little confusing to you, I promise that as you add one person and the next person and the third person, and you have names, it's really evident how this comp plan works. It's really fantastic. Once you can figure out whose audio is muted yet,
maybe everything I've ever learned is not true, and the world is really magical.
Betsy?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to mute because
I'm not sure who it is. Lindsay, can you figure out who it might be and see if you can encourage them to mute? Okay, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so here we are on slide 13. What does a leader make? So as a consultant, you can see with my cursor, I'm kind of circling this thing. The consultant, let's pretend you have, right out of the gate, you're a brand new consultant, you just sold $1,000 and you earn 25% for a $250 night. That's fantastic. That's a lot of money. When you are a leader with 3 people on your team and you're a group leader or above, and you go out to do that same party with $1,000 in sales, and you earn 40% on your party, you walked out with $400. You can earn $150 more on the exact same $1,000 party as a group leader. All right, what else does a group leader make? Let's take a look at PSAQ sales. So here we are. This is kind of fun. Key Consultant 1. Let's say you have one team member and she is selling $1,800 this month, and you are earning 3% on her for a $54 profit. That's pretty sweet. If you were a leader, that same person with $1,800 in sales on your team, you're earning 9% on her sales for a $162 profit instead. So by going from a Key Consultant 1 to a leader, you have 3 times the profit on the exact same person. Don't leave money on the table. Okay, and I still hear some, if everyone could actively make sure that your audio is muted, that would be fantastic. So let's do a little sample income on this, on slide 15. And you're still looking at participant worksheet number 4. So let's pretend you are doing 4 parties and your average sales are $750 and you just sold 3,000, which is, that's a great month. And if you scroll down, that gives you 3,000 times 40% is $1,200 in income that you're making on your own personal sales volume. Let's pretend that you have 3 PSAQs and they're each selling $1,800. Let's say they each did a couple parties and $1,800. So suddenly your team has just sold $5,400 in sales and you brought all 3 of them into business. That $5,400 times 9% is $486 on those PSAQs that you would be earning by helping those gals work their business. So suddenly your 4 parties and your 3 team members nets you nearly $1,700 that month. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to take just a moment, and on participant worksheet number 5, I want you to fill in the blanks. I want you to create 4 pretend parties, host names, just, Larry, Curly, Mo, and Joe are your host names. Make up some sales numbers that are reasonable. Tally your total sales. So you're pretending that you've got 4 parties, so you don't have to do all 8, just for the sake of time, because I want you to practice this. We have time. So you're going down, you're going to fill in 4 host names, you're going to fill in 4 party totals for a total in sales for the month. Then I want you to pretend you have 3 PSAQs and how much each of them sold, and then total their sales. And we're going to do the same thing with your own example, the way that we did on the previous example. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do this. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to fill in the blanks. Just make it up as you go. Don't make it outlandish. Do numbers that could actually happen to you. 4 hostesses this month, 3 PSAQs. Who are the 3 people that you wish you could bring into business if you've never brought anybody into business? Who might they be? Create monthly sales for them for this month. Total them up at the bottom, so that we can calculate what your income would actually look like. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to create those top 2 areas, your sales and your team sales, and then I'm going to have to calculate at the bottom what your income actually ended up being. Okay? I'll give you 2 minutes. I'm going to pull away from the screen and see if I can go ahead and mute everybody. Okay, I think I have almost everybody muted. Okay. Nope, I missed somebody. Okay. All right, let me go back to sharing the screen. Pull this up again. I want to show you how we do this. There is still somebody who's not muted. I wonder if maybe you can help me out. Just double check your control panel. If you can find your control panel. Okay. All right. So if you have some host names and commissionable sales, and you have your PSAQs and your monthly sales, go ahead and get your sales totals for your own and for your team. Below your sales, type in or write in your sales times 40% shows your commission. For team sales, these are just your PSAQs. Whatever that number was times 9% and your PSAQ profit. And then you're going to come over to the right-hand side, put in your commission from your own parties, put in your profit from your team members, and then for your total profit for the month. So this is basically how you're going to be analyzing your sales every month as you grow your team. All right, so you can see that's quite a difference, isn't it? All right, let me show you slide 17. I want to explain the concept of a central group just very basically. This gets very confusing, and we're not going to go any deeper than this, but I just want to show you. A central group, as I said, is you and everyone on your team. It can be you and all these green people are the ones that you brought into the business, and all the yellow ones are the ones that they brought into the business, and they're all part of your central group. Everybody in your central group. You make 9% on the ones that you brought into business, the green ones, and you earn 5% on everybody else. So let's pretend that this person here, or this person, however, brought in this one, 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 all the way down. You earn 5% on all of these people, every single one of them, all the way down. There is no, you could have 100 and you would still be earning 5% on all of them. So where does that change? It changes when one of them becomes a leader herself. And let's say she promotes out and becomes a group leader. Suddenly she creates her own central group and breaks off for that particular month, and you get paid a little differently on her. Okay, so let me show you the next thing. Whoops, come back. So let me show you the 6 levels of leadership. As we talked about, group leader is the crux of it. Senior group leader is, so first of all, I showed you the first 4 levels: consultant, key consultant 1, key consultant 2, and group leader. Those are the first 4 levels. These are the next 6 levels. And group leader, senior group leader, which has 1 group leader on her team. Director has 2 group leaders on her team. Key director has 4. Senior director has 6. Senior executive director has 8. Okay, let me show you something very interesting, because you might want to take a look at the big picture. This career plan, unlike a lot of others, and like the one that I came from years ago and others that I've looked at since then, is actually really straightforward and simple to explain. And the way that you move up in leadership is by helping your team members promote to group leader. You simply help the people in your downline do exactly what you did to get to group leader, and you promote too. The more group leaders you promote, the higher you will rise in the career plan and the more money you will make. Essentially, what we have discovered is that every group leader that you promote out equals $10,000 more in your pocket. So let's take a look. So as you can see, the average group leader for a whole year, based on some average numbers, it earns about $33,000 a year. A senior group leader who has 1 leader on her team, that's what a senior group leader is, if she does that for a whole year, she will earn on average $43,000 in that year. A director has 2 leaders, 2 group leaders on her front line. She earns $53,000 a year. On average, our key directors who have 4 group leaders on her team earn $74,000 a year. Our senior directors with 6 leaders frontline to them, and there are others within the group, because by the time you're growing leaders wide, you're also growing leaders deep. It just sort of happens that way. 6 leaders, and there is a minimum of $50,000 in organizational sales, but her income averages $94,000 a year. Senior executive director, who is paid as such all year so far for our company, and this will get bigger and bigger as our teams all grow. But at the moment, the average for a senior executive director is $115,000, and she has 8 leaders, and she sells at least $100,000 each month on her team. Okay, all right, so what do you think of all that? Do you like the idea of leadership? Do you like the idea of growing your business? Kind of fun. All right, so let's talk about how to get to leader in 30 to 60 days. Hopefully this has piqued your interest. So here we are on, I'm going to fill you in on a secret. It's a numbers game. It's not a magic formula. It's really not about having the most charming personality in the world. It's definitely not about manipulating people to buy a kit. It's not about manipulating people to do anything. We get to work with Swarovski. We have a beautiful product line. We have a great compensation plan. We do fun parties. We sell a high quality product to women who are interested in our line. There is no manipulating or talking anybody into anything. It's about doing parties, talking about the opportunity and having fun, and how fast you get to group leader depends entirely on how many parties you're doing. So let's talk about this. A good recruiter sponsors one person out of every 4 parties. And here's why. You'll meet 7 to 8 people at each party. So in 4 parties, you're going to meet 28 to 32 people on average, maybe 30 people or so. And so that's just kind of the way it works. Those are just the numbers that we see. Basically, to sponsor 3 PSAQs to get to group leader, it's probably going to be through 12 parties, more than likely. So think about it. To get to group leader strategically in 30 to 60 days, you hold 2 parties a week or 8 parties a month, and you're going to get there within a month and a half to 2 months. And then as a leader, you're going to want to keep holding 2 parties a week to keep growing your team and do exactly what got you there in the first place. The more parties you do, the faster you promote. It isn't based on sales, it's based on the number of people you meet in a month. And this is why, if you want to be really strategic, this is one reason why parties with acquaintances are the best. It's so tempting to want to do parties all the time with people that we know really well. Oh, she'll help me. She's one of my best friends. Oh, I've always known her. She'll always help me. The problem with people like that, the people that we've always known, is that they know all the people we know. What we're looking for to be strategic is parties with people that we don't know very well or have never met. And so therefore, we're getting in front of all these new people who have never seen Touchstone Crystal by Swarovski, and who will be enamored by it, and who might really want to do what you do. The other cool thing about acquaintances is that they're not going to do a party just to do you a favor. Oh, she'll take any help that I'm willing to give her, so I'm just going to invite a few people, and if it turns out it'll be she'll be grateful. No, you really want people to do parties for you who simply want jewelry. We want hostesses who are in it for themselves, not just to help us. I mean, it's very sweet if they want to help us, but we want them to want to get free jewelry. We want them to be excited about introducing it to their friends for the first time. And those are the kinds of parties where we can gain the most traction and certainly have the most fun and make the hostesses the happiest. So let's see what happens when you do 8 parties. And this is something called Strive for 5 that our company has come up with. And if you pull up participant worksheet number 6, you can fill in fact, I'll go back and you can fill in the blanks for the numbers of parties per week. So number of parties per week is 1. You'll sponsor on average 1 person per month, and you'll promote to group leader in 3 to 4 months. And you'll be working 3 to 4 hours a week, right? Doing the party. If you do 2 parties a week, you'll sponsor 2 people, most likely in a month, because you'll be meeting about 60 people. You'll promote to group leader within 2 months, and you'll be working 6 to 8 hours a week at actual parties. 3 parties a week, and so on. You can see how faster that goes. So that's how you fill in that particular blank. Now let's talk about Strive for 5. So here's what happens. When you can fill in the blank. Strive for 5, 8 parties per month, which is 2 parties per week. And in fact, when we talk to people who want to come into the business to do some work, it's really neat to ask people, well, how many nights a week do you think you would like to be out doing parties? How many nights a week would you like to work? Most often, the number is 2. Most often, because if they were getting a part-time job, they'd be working 2 nights a week probably, is what they would find is their tolerance level. Well, that boils down to 8 parties a month, pretty much. The cool thing is that 8 parties a month boils down to, on average, 60 people that you're getting in front of. Maybe they're not all buying something from you, most will, but 60 people, that's a lot of people. Out of 60 people, you're going to meet 2 new ambassadors, 2 new people who are going to come on board and sell $1,000. And the net effect of that, of doing those 8 parties per month and adding those people, is that your income will run right around $2,000 per month. And over a span of 5 months, it'll be $10,000 in income. So what does that sound like? What would you do with an extra $10,000 over the next 5 months? Could you see yourself doing something with that? Is anybody excited about that? What would you do with $10,000 between now and the middle of the summer? You already wrote down your why, your reason for joining, and your reason for wanting to excel and to do more, to earn more. And it's what's going to keep you motivated as you work towards your goals. And now you have to decide on your goal. So go back to your first page, participant worksheet number 1. When do you want to, if you want to promote to group leader, when do you want to do it? Is it March? Is it April? Write it down now on your worksheet beneath your why, under my goal. What is your goal? How much do you want to earn? When do you want to reach group leader? Or if you're already a group leader, when do you want to reach senior group leader? Continue to grow your team and somebody else's so that she can have the same benefits that you have. It's really darn exciting. That's where the fun is. I love this. So this is cute. There are only two options, make progress or make excuses. I am really good at making excuses. Oh my goodness, I have so much to do today. I can't possibly book another party. Here's the thing that I want you to understand is that this business is not about heroics. And it's not about who's the most fashionable, who is the most personable. It's not about who has the most experience in the industry. It's not about working your butt off and working 24 hours a day because that's just so, that's going to get you there. That's not going to get you there. What is going to get you there is 4 things. And this is actually not in the program, but I'm going to tell you what they are because this is my heart sharing with you. The number one and through number 4. First one is consistency. You can write this wherever you want to. In my opinion, consistency is the number 1 attribute of all of the leaders in our company. Consistency. They do something every day to move somebody forward, to move something forward, to move a hostess forward toward a $1,000 party, to move a potential hostess forward toward figuring out what date and theme she wants, to moving a potential consultant forward in figuring out if this is right for her or not, to moving yourself forward. Every single day she's doing something. Second is persistence. And it simply means that the negative emotions that we feel as business owners are just normal, but they're not a litmus test for whether or not we're being successful and whether or not we're moving forward. And so persistence is everything. And we have to talk to ourselves sometimes and say, you know what, how I feel right now about what just happened has no bearing on whether or not I'm going to be reaching my goals. And that's what persistence is. It's simply just don't stop. Keep going no matter how you feel about it. You can take 10 minutes to feel badly, but just keep going. Every single leader in this company has had bad hours, bad parties, bad days. It's just normal. That's normal life. But the life of a successful business owner is the life that simply persists. So consistency and persistence. The third one is training. Oh, that's what you're doing right now. So congratulations. I love that. Always train. I'm telling you, 14 years in the industry, every day, I'm hungry. I'm desperate for more ideas, for a better way to do this business, for a smarter way to be more strategic, to help you all better, to cut to the chase. Always be willing to train, listen to new ideas. I promise you, even if you know it all, you've probably forgotten half of it. At least that's my experience. And the last one is time. You have to give it enough time. I can't even tell you how many people I have talked to who quit because they weren't seeing what they wanted to see, and I knew what they were doing, and I knew that they were going to get what they wanted if they could just hang in there a little bit longer. They didn't give it enough time. It's kind of like my favorite quote and analogy has to do with the gardener, and my quote, aside from the Zig Ziglar one that I shared with you earlier, has to do with you can't measure your success today in, oh shoot, I always say it wrong because it's kind of a flipped quote. It has to do with measure your success in the seeds that were planted, not in the results. So it's all about what seeds am I planting every day, and that's the consistency part. But think about the gardener or the farmer. He's planting seeds. He's got a system, he's got a method, and he has to fertilize, and he's got to put compost, and he's got to dig out the weeds, and he's got to prune things, and there are things that he has to do before he can get his harvest. And he doesn't just plant a seed, go back later that afternoon, look at it and go, well shucks, that didn't work, nothing grew. Well, of course not. You planted the seed just now, you got a little bit more to do. Give it some time. So those are the 4 things. And keeping in mind that you can make progress. Making progress is all that matters. All right, so the way to grow, that was my pulpit. Sorry, that's my pulpit. Let's talk about the future leader, the activity tracker. So that is one of the pages that you printed out. I love this activity tracker. We're not done yet because then we have one more segment after this. The activity tracker is a fun worksheet. We're going to chart your progress. Again, this is not like I don't want you to feel like this is a report card about you or anything like that. And if you don't want to do 8 parties a month, don't do 8 parties a month. This is about you. Work it out with your leader. And each week of this program, I want you to talk to your leader with the activity tracker in front of you. Take a picture of it and send it to her before you chat with her. You're going to find it to be a very productive 15 minutes. Because what you're going to discover is, oh my gosh, I was never making any host coaching calls, and I thought the parties would just kind of happen. Gosh, I learned something. You're going to talk about how to sponsor that new consultant. You're going to talk about the benefit of customer service calls. Maybe you're going to talk about a training that you listened to during the week, because there is a little bit of homework along those lines too. So your activity tracker. So we are going to have prizes. So this is week 1. Next Sunday night, I will be gathering, Sunday night and Monday morning of next week, I'm going to be gathering a list from all of the leaders on our team and CJ's team as well, and Linda also from Bonnie, of how many points you earned. And we are going to have prizes. Each Monday I'll be announcing what all of our prizes are. So we'll have 3 or 4 prizes for the tops in certain categories, and also for total points added up for each week. So we're going to make this as fun as we possibly can. Here's the amazing thing. If you are being consistent and persistent in doing these little activities, I'm telling you, your business is going to grow, because this is the stuff that's going to build your business. All right. So the way that we grow a personal business is to start with bookings. So we're going to talk about getting some of those on your calendar right now. You're going, oh no, she's going to tell me we're going to do this. Oh, yes, we are. All right. So you have participant worksheet number 7, sample scripts for booking calls, texts, and messages. Now, one thing that we have learned, and this is really important. So when I started with in the industry 14 years ago, not with our company, of course, but with another company. And back then we didn't have Facebook. We did have email, sort of. Not everybody was using it. And for those of you who are young, I know you can't even fathom that I must be a dinosaur surely, but we sort of had email. We didn't have Facebook, and we did not really have texting. So actually, I don't think we had texting at all. This industry has changed dramatically. The number 1 way that women get parties today is private messaging on Facebook. The number 2 method is texting. And the number 3 method is email. And you go, well, wait a minute. What about picking up the phone and calling people? Nope. Nope. I mean, good luck. I don't answer the phone. Do you answer the phone? Probably most of your friends don't. So what you're going to do is come up with a short and concise way of offering a party. They're not doing you a favor. You're offering them something fun. You're not asking for a favor. You're offering them something fun. This is your mindset talking. You've got to decide what your mindset is. B, it has to be short enough that she can read it at a stoplight, or while she's nursing the baby, or while she's got 2 in the tub, or while she's in line at the grocery store. It has to be that quick, because she doesn't have time to read our soliloquy about how wonderful Touchstone crystal is and how beautiful the gems are and how much her friends would love it, because by the time she gets past the 3rd sentence, that 2-year-old will have just slipped in the tub and she'll have to put her phone away. So you have to keep in mind that shorter is better. So we have a couple of examples on participant worksheet number 7. Ignore the one at the bottom that's on the phone. We're not having by call. I kind of like the one at the top, the text in the Facebook. That's okay. You know, this is sort of canned, but I do kind of like the idea of using I'm at an event and we've been given a little challenge to book 2 get-togethers for March by the end of tonight. You're welcome to use that line. And you could say, maybe it's time for a night off, for a little wine, and for shopping with bling with a lot of free jewelry for you. And you definitely want to offer 2 dates. I wouldn't offer 3. And I would also suggest offering a theme. And you'll recognize that down in the group, down in the email. Down below the text in Facebook, it talks about a group email. And we're not going to be talking about the group email concept tonight. That's a different way of doing things. But I like how they include the idea of fun little themes. So what I typically do is I start off with, hey, it was great to see you at the soccer game the other night. I just started with Touchstone Crystal, or Swarovski's Touchstone Crystal jewelry line, and I have been challenged to line up 2 get-togethers for the month of March, where hosts get tons of free bling. Nacho Average Jewelry Party, Nacho, Nacho, Average Jewelry Party, and Cocktails and Crystals are 2 of our favorite themes. I have, fill in the blank, March 27th and 19th available would you be interested? And that's all you have to say. So the key is, don't say, do you want to do a jewelry party? Because nobody wants to do a jewelry party, with rare exception. The point is Swarovski, free bling, and fun little theme. The fun little themes make all the difference, because suddenly it takes it from the idea of a jewelry party up to, oh my gosh, you know what? I love making nachos, and we could do nacho average jewelry party, and we could do nachos, and we could do sangria, or we could do margaritas, and we could totally pull that off. And it's all Swarovski, so it'd be really pretty. My friends have never seen it. So suddenly her mind spins in creative directions rather than, oh, how do I get out of this, right? Because we don't want her to feel badly. We want her to be excited, because this is really fun. This is really special, and this is really different. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. If you get stuck, go to chat your question. There are leaders on this call who can actually answer your question, but we're going to spend the next 10 minutes. I'm going to set my timer, and we're going to work on the goal is to get 2 bookings on your calendar in the next 24 to 48 hours. And I know you can do this, but we're going to start right now, and I'm setting the timer for 10 minutes. If you want to unmute and ask a question, you're welcome to do that, or you can chat your question and you'll get lots of responses. Totally up to you, but okay, I'm setting the clock, and here we go, 10 minutes. And by the way, if you're stuck on who to offer it to, think of 5 acquaintances, people that you haven't seen maybe this month, but you saw last month, that you don't see on a regular basis, or maybe you see them at work and they're not your best friends. Somebody who isn't your best friend, somebody who's not in your circle of your top 12 friends. Because a lot of times they're the ones who think they're doing you a favor. And really what you're looking for is people who really would just enjoy jewelry and having some friends over. And they don't really care so much about helping you. And that's okay. We don't want them to help us. We want them to have a good time. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them on the chat, or you can unmute and ask it if you need to. It's perfectly fine. And I'm watching the clock. Okay, we're at the 5-minute mark. Okay, we're down to under 3 minutes. And for anyone who gets a new party booked by the time we finish tonight and lets me know, I'm going to send you a Starbucks card. Because we love our Starbucks. I think Swarovski and Starbucks are my two favorite things, my two favorite S words. Okay, we're down to 1 minute. So wrap up the one that you're working on. Okay, 30 seconds to wrap it up. Okay. All right, there's my timer. All right, so the timer is done. Congratulations on your 10 minutes of work. So let's pull the group back together. So how did you do? How many did you reach out to? Love to have you chat. If you know how to do that, if you're actually on the video, you can type into the chat part. How many did you speak to? These are the things that you can either post on the team page after, or the special future leader group page after we're done. How many responses did you get? And if you got a booking right away, tell me the date and the name, and I will get you a Starbucks card tomorrow by email. And be sure to post what you were saying, because people love to get other ideas about this kind of thing. I want to talk to you a little bit too as I'm logging in, because I'm going to show you a couple things in just a moment. I think you can still see my screen. So I'm logging in as we're going to be talking about homework. But first, I want to talk a little bit about what happens after we reach out to people. So let's pretend I just reached out to 10 people, and maybe immediately I hear back from one, and maybe she says yes, or maybe she says something otherwise, but 9 others I don't hear back from tonight. That would be normal. And I've had a lot of consultants say to me, gosh, you know what, I can't get any parties. And I'll say, well, how many have you reached out to? And we'll go over what they've said and who they've reached out to. And I say, well, so what has your response rate been like? Well, out of the 10 that I reached out to, I didn't hear back from 9. I said, well, that's not the same as no parties. That means you haven't heard back from 9 people. You haven't gotten an answer from those other 9. So the best thing to do is to keep track. Keep a list of who you're reaching out to. Put it into columns. So the left-hand column is their name. The next column over might say FB 3/7. Meaning I sent her a Facebook message on March 7th. And then I can go back and go down my list over the next couple of days and be watching for who I didn't hear back from. And I can revamp what I said. I can maybe rephrase it or send exactly the same thing if I liked it in the first place a couple days later. So a lot of people will say, oh, but I don't want to pester people. And, maybe she hates me, and maybe she thinks this is really stupid that I even offered. Quite honestly, she was probably in the middle of something when she read it. And again, we unfortunately have a way of detecting if somebody had a message delivered, like on an iPhone. It says delivered. Well, to me, that means that she read it and now she's thinking about it, and she didn't respond back. Or on Facebook, maybe she read the message and I can see that she read it, but how do I know she didn't read it while she was going 60 miles an hour down Route 66 in Virginia, right? Against the rules? Or how did I know that she didn't read it while she was rocking that baby to sleep? And and the reality, she can't type back. So now maybe she's read it and maybe she's thinking about it. The reality is she's probably got 15 other text messages or Facebook messages that followed along right behind it. So we have to give her the benefit of the doubt. It's not about us, it's about her. And we can really assume that it's okay to send it a second time. Now, the litmus test, I think, is if you've got somebody who has said, I really do want a party, they are the ones that you can pursue more actively. If it's just someone that you're randomly offering a party to, do it a couple times in a row and then give it a rest for a few weeks and then come back to her, to put it in your tickler, to offer it again in a couple of weeks. I have had so many women over the years say to me, oh my gosh, after I haven't seen them in a while and I'll bump into them and they'll say, you have been so diligent in reaching out to me and I really want to do a party. I'm not quite sure when yet. We're moving, or this is happening, or that's happening, but I really, really do want to do a party. And I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. Sometimes they just don't get back because they're confused and they're overwhelmed. Maybe caught them in the middle of a project. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Not hearing back is not the same as no. The other thing that's important to know is that if she really flat out says no, it's not the same as I hate you. Just so you know, it's not personal. It's I don't like parties, it's whatever. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is that a lot of times women will, consultants will get a response kind of like, to a really great message that'll say, cupcakes and crystals, here are the 2 dates. And the reply that she gets back might be, sorry, I can't. We're headed to Disney at the end of the month. And the kids have the flu. So she's answering your specific question. Do you want a party in March? Okay. She's not answering a long-term question. And so the response back is, that really stinks about the flu. Do you guys need some dinner? And can I bring you guys some dinner? And secondly is, I sure hope you recover in time to have a blast at Disney, and I hope you'll put me in your suitcase. And then you say, because you want to, you're the friend first, no matter what, you're always the friend first. And then you say, maybe we can work out something after you get back from Disney. What would you think of that? And her reply is going to be, well, sure, absolutely, right? But you have to know how to take the next step. Respond to what she said to you. The basement flooded, you know, grandma's visiting for a month, we're headed out of town, whatever. Respond to what she said to you, and then say, maybe later, what do you think about, you know, April instead, or later in the spring or something like that. See what she said. So we have to come up with an expectation in our own heart that this is not offensive, that this really is normal. I don't mind at all when somebody offers a party to me. I have two people offering parties right now to me for their product lines. I am swamped. I'm really busy with the parties that I am doing. And so I'm telling her, no, not right now. But I'm not saying no, not ever. I'm saying no, not right now. And I want her to know that that's the case. Okay. All right. So I want to talk very last little thing. You all have been wonderful and so patient. So I want you to go to the final worksheet, and it's session 1 action steps. We're going to talk about this because the first action item is to book 2 parties in the next 24 to 48 hours. And that's what we started with just now. So you're going to be making a longer contact list, work with your upline if you're stuck, because your upline can really be a great help to you, your upline sponsor or your upline leader, either one, to help you get that contact list into gear so that you're using the right verbiage and getting and identifying what the responses are. There are 3 real misses in booking parties. The first one is a lack of a good contact list. The second was lack of a good message. And the third one is lack of a good follow-up, not knowing what to say back. So those are the 3 things that your upline can help you with. Honestly, if you can crack those 3 things, you're going to have a good calendar and it's going to be okay. So I want you to book 2 more parties in the next 24 to 48 hours. If you book a party while I'm still talking, then I want you to post it on our Future Leader page, on the Future Leader MX or MR page, and tell me so I can send you a Starbucks card. Just give me the host name and the date, and I'll send it to you. Secondly, what you're going to want to do is, the next thing is Lori Kelly's party presentation video. One of your, everybody got a participant worksheet. I'm not sure which number it is. And it's a questionnaire for Lori Kelly's party presentation. This questionnaire is fantastic. I'm trusting that you have it. I don't see it here, but I don't have the complete packet here. So where are you going to find it? Well, I'm going to show you. So I think I'm still sharing the screen with you. Go to resources, go down to training. And then you're going to go, scroll on down to party presentation under getting started, down below getting started. So party presentation. And this one right here with the gems, it just says party presentation training. This is the one that you're going to want to look at. It's Lori Kelly, and it's her party presentation from National Conference last summer, and it was fantastic. And use the worksheet as you are watching this thing. You might watch it the first time and then go back and do the worksheet as you watch it the second time. It's really worth it. So complete the worksheet. And review your answers with your upline, because it's such great food for thought. This is remember we talked about consistency, persistence, training, and time. Learn to love the process. Learn to love tweaking the idea of your party presentation. And I don't mean spend all your time on it. I mean, be looking for new ideas that are going to make it work. Okay, number 4, complete your weekly activity tracker. And then the last component is go down to the booking section of Ready, Set, Glam, the new consultant guide. Okay, I'm going to pray that I can find this. We have so much in this. Here we go, Ready, Set, Glam. So I went down under downloadable files, under resources, and I scroll down to sponsoring forms and marketing tools, and I pull up Ready, Set, Glam, starting guide, the getting started guide. It's a big old document. If you've never seen it, seriously, you're going to love this thing because it has so many great resources in it. And you're going to go to the booking section. of the Glam Guide. The beautiful thing is that as you're adding new team members, these are resources that you can use with them. How great is that? That's, you know, again, we do not want you recreating the wheel. We want you using the tools that are already available. And these tools are just going to get better and better. A year ago, we didn't even have a lot of these things available to us. And I just think we have so many resources available to us. So somewhere in here, how beautiful is this girl? Somewhere in here is the actual booking section of it. I'm not going to wait until it all unlocks, but now you know where to find it. And that's the important part. Let me stop sharing. We're going to go back. Is anyone else freaking that Betsey has 48 alerts? Oh, CJ, thanks. I know I have 2,800 messages in my, oh, well, whatever. All right, share screen, manage to open up. Here we go, gallery view. All right, so we are done with our official portion tonight. This is by far the longest portion. The next 3 components for the next 3 Monday nights are actually about 40 minutes long total. And so don't be freaked out and think, oh my gosh, I can't do this every single Monday night. I promise you it's not like this. And the next 3 are jam-packed with great ideas, great information. The most important components: use our Facebook page, post your ideas, post what's happening, because this Facebook page that we've created is only for a month. CJ, I know you've got one. We've got one for our team. Linda, you can be on ours unless Bonnie is doing one. And you can absolutely post all your ideas, post what's working, post what's not working. If you're having a bad day, tell us so that everybody can lift you up. If you're having a great day, tell us so that you can lift everybody else up. That's the way that it works. Okay, so that is it. We can unmute if you have any questions. For those of you who need to go put children to bed, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording now.